A recurring pattern exists among highly capable system builders. They possess the polymathic skill to design complex architectures, yet their own ventures often fail to reach sustainability. They launch, pivot, and iterate, but they remain trapped in a cycle of high effort and low traction. This trap is a result of the standard venture model, which assumes the market is the absolute center of gravity. This model dictates that a founder must research the market, find a gap, and then build a product to fit it. This forces the founder into a permanent orbit. They spend years chasing perceived market needs while disconnected from the specific structural strengths of their own unique capacity. When this orbital pressure becomes unsustainable, the system shatters into dozens of random vectors. Founders deploy effort in every direction, new audiences, new features, and new funnels, to avoid the simplicity of a single focused path. This is the scatter pattern. The pattern creates a relentless loop. Savings drain as the founder performs high-effort pivots that never yield actual traction. They are active, but they are not moving. Stagnation in this context is a failure of topological orientation. Using a map that centers on the market rather than the founder's capacity makes burnout a structural certainty. Breaking this loop requires an inversion of how value is created. This Copernican inversion locks the founder's uniqueness at the center of gravity. In this model, the market and the product are not things to be chased. They are treated as inevitable, outward-radiating consequences of the founder's core gift. This presents a problem. If the founder is the exact center of the venture, why is it so difficult for them to articulate their own business? We can explain this through the topology of a Mobius strip, a surface that appears to have two sides but only has one. The founder's true venture is often invisible to them because it is the foundational surface they are currently standing on. They are trying to observe the very mechanism they use to see the world. To solve this, a founder cannot rely on hustle. They must construct a structured instrument capable of mapping what is currently out of sight. This instrument must be a comprehensive framework that accounts for the variables inherent in any complex system. Any structural blind spot in the map becomes a point of failure in the business. The base layer of the instrument is a 2x2 matrix. We define the axes as interior versus exterior and individual versus collective. This gives us 4 quadrants: founder consciousness, observable product, tribal field, and system architecture. To map a complex adaptive system, we need more than a flat grid. We extrude this matrix upward along a vertical axis to create depth. We then slice this block into 3 horizontal tiers: the heart, representing what the venture is, the mind, representing what it means, and the gut, representing specific actions. By multiplying these 4 quadrants by 3 layers of depth, we arrive at exactly 12 distinct perspectives. This 12-part structure provides the resolution necessary to track a venture's growth across internal and external dimensions simultaneously. To visualize how these 12 perspectives relate to one another, we map them onto a 12-sided geometry, a dodecahedron. In this model, each face acts as a window, looking at a specific dimension of the venture's evolution. However, 12 windows are only useful if there is a central point of origin from which the observation takes place. We place a 13th point in the absolute center of the geometry. We call this point quintessence. It represents the living impulse of the venture itself, the specific DNA that holds the 12 outward faces together. By combining these 12 structural faces with a single living center, we create a map that allows us to architect the emergence of a venture rather than reacting to it. Traditional business forecasting relies on extrapolating past data into the future. This approach fails the moment a system encounters a phase transition or high turbulence. A more accurate alternative is morphogenetic navigation, a concept borrowed from biology. While forecasting attempts to guess the future, morphogenesis maps the structure of emergence already contained within the seed. An acorn contains the specific structural blueprint of the oak tree it will become. The 12-perspective map identifies the form that will emerge. Linear mathematics are then used for a much narrower task, calculating the speed of that emergence. This shifts the founder from a gambler reacting to probabilities to an architect guiding a structurally sound unfolding. To maintain the accuracy of this map, we must account for the shadow layer. Each perspective that shows progress also possesses a shadow. This represents the specific actions or truths the founder is actively avoiding or denying. For example, a founder might build a flawless software platform, but subconsciously avoid building the payment gateway. They have architected the system, but are avoiding the reality of monetization. When every perspective is mapped with high resolution, the structural tensions between these layers become visible. Identifying where the shadow layer blocks a specific quadrant clarifies the path forward. At this level of detail, the decision is no longer a guess between possibilities. It is a response to the structural data on the map. This mapping protocol can be scaled into a dashboard that tracks the entire system. A single diagnostic session allows the system to compile the business canvas and marketplace listing for the founder. By replacing scattered effort with structural mapping, the struggle of venture building dissolves. The act of doing becomes the state of knowing.